I was their doctor. But in both cases, you can tell in the film, what happens is they start to dream. They didn't know people who had died. So how do they see deceased people, right? And what they did is they populated their dreams and their thoughts with animals who had died. And the one had 6 ferrets, cats, dogs, whatever, but they all looked good. And both kids were able to say, it means I'm okay. It means I'm loved. It means I'm secure. But the one you're talking about, what she eventually worried about was, how do I live without, who am I, what am I without my mother? So she starts dreaming of her mother's best friend who had died. Yeah, but it completely changed the mother's experience. And in the other case, it was the same thing. Yeah.
So you have received really overwhelming response to your TED Talk and to the study. I'll embarrass you and say that you emailed me and said you received an embarrassingly nice offer for the book after auction. And so how do you account for the high level of interest in the subject?
I don't know. I think this is the funniest part of the story. So I wrote the protocol and I didn't do anything with it for almost a decade because I didn't think anyone would be interested in it. And it was a resident who had to do a project who said, oh, you're crazy, people would be interested. So the whole thing, that's because somebody said no, I was wrong. And then I published in the medical journals and I never got one single reply. 0. Crickets. Nada. So I didn't think anyone cared. And then I did the TED Talk, and it went around the world. And what they're responding to, just to clarify, isn't me. What the people are responding to is they're having had an experience. And it's the first time it's been validated or contextualized for them. Is some kind of, there's no clinical framework. A doctor didn't usually walk in and say, this is normal, this is okay, this is probably comforting, go ahead, get closer and ask questions. Nothing like that. So when you see it published somewhere, there's a litany of replies and they just go on and it's just really this catharsis that people have. I mean, because a lot of people make horrible assumptions that they have a they're hypooxygenated their brain or there's a metastasis or something like that.
How has it influenced or changed your practice at Hospice Buffalo and the culture, if it has, at Hospice Buffalo?
Yeah, and one of the things we tried to do very early was involve other people and to see if we could change the culture. And everybody knows now that it's the secondary question you ask. First of all, one of the things we're very concerned about in dying people is, what's your sleep quality like? But the secondary questions are you having vivid dreams? Anything, that kind of thing.
And that's comforting for patients to talk about.
It's really interesting. It's the responses are diverse. There's people who you walk into the room and they just boom tell you. There's other people who need permission, and as soon as you give them the basis for it, they just relax and go, oh my God, have I ever? And then you just go on and on and on.